Welcome back. It's time to take a dig at top stories on our dailies. And with us in the studio today is Bayo Jimo, a journalist. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, there is a story on the Nigerian Tribune that says PTF once again schools reopening as Oyo reopens schools for Primary 6, GSS 3, SS 3, and on June 29th. And when we look at the story, we see that more eminence is paid to what the PTF is saying, that no school in Nigeria should be open. I would like you to give us your take on the story, and do you think it is ripe for Nigeria to reopen schools now?
Of course, if we can partially open churches and mosques, I think it is ripe for schools to open. However, we must look at what the governor said. He said for SS3, GSS3 and Primary 6, which implies that the capacity of the school can still contain them, because before now it used to be from GSS1 to SS3, for example. So the pupils can be spread across all the classes. So I think if we can come with that measure so that the student will not be staying home, and we know that these students want to write exams for promotion, so that will not be delayed and lessons and all that thing. I think for the capacity, maybe we can say 25%. It's okay to reopen those caliber of students or pupils to come to school. It's okay, it's fine. Because we have churches they said they should operate at 25% capacity. So these students too, they can, especially for those that want to write promotion exams.
Yeah. You know, the government fear, again, on the other side, is to reduce the impact. Of course, that impact has generated and has also, led to the increase in the rising of cases that we have in Nigeria at the moment.
But this same government no phantom this fact when they ask churches to open. If you ask churches to open for 25% capacity, school too can open for 25% capacity. As a matter of fact, I believe that the younger pupils can best manage the COVID-19 measures well than the elderly ones, because they have teachers who will tell them that sit down here, don't go out, wash your hand, and they listen to their teachers, but unlike the churches.
Now, taking a look at the headline, PTF once again schools reopening, and do you think that the paper, for paying more attention to what the PTF is saying, do you think they're taking a side and insisting that the opinion of the PTF reigns over the school reopening?
You see, of all the, let me say, Nigerian newspaper, all newspapers across the globe, they have editorial policy. Some tend towards government, some against government, some choose to be neutral. So I think for this headline, I don't have any issues with it. The way it's captured, I'm fine with it.
Okay, let's look at, before we head to business quickly, Vanguard is reporting similar story, just like Daily Sun is reporting. For instance, for Daily Sun, is saying Northern Coalition to Buhari, stop killings within 14 days, calls for sack of security chiefs. And Vanguard also take the same story, but from different perspective now, as Arewa Youth give federal government 14 days to end insecurity in Northeast. This story has been a running story in the past few days. How would you report this story differently?
Well, the way the story has been captured, it has shown that the group are saying the president should do something about it. And it is true. The Northeast, or the killings, the banditry now has been on for a while, and it involves lives of people. Seems for the past 2 months now, effort has been more on the coronavirus, where people are dying on a daily basis, on banditry and whatever you can call it. Right. So I think the way the headline is captioned is fine, and the president too should be more proactive. The issue of the service chiefs, for moral sake, I don't think they should be there, because people who are supposed to be promoted, they are not. Of course, they should. But I don't know why the president insisted that they are the best to do the job. Me, as an individual, they are not. They've overstayed. They should leave.
Okay, let's go to business right the way here. Nigeria's oil export to fall by 50% this year. Another story, of course, earlier in the week, we heard giving hope to Nigeria economy for the fact that the crude oil is beginning to rise. The prices of crude oil is beginning to rise in the international market. As at yesterday, it was around $32 US. So, is it kind of ray of hope? Are we trying to, look beyond the impact of COVID-19? Are we too ambitious with what is happening now? If you see this headline, that's what Vanguard is saying.
Yeah, you see, the issue of the oil benchmark, it has not been stable for now. When the amended budget was submitted, the Senate or the National Assembly agreed that it should be at $25 per barrel.
Right.
And the executive proposed like 30. After the budget has been passed, on the day they were supposed to pass the budget, they made another amendment too from 25 to 28. So what they are trying to say is that since the thing is peaking, fine, it will peak, but it is not going to be the way it used to be before the COVID-19. For example, the capacity of people who engage, to extract oil too, it's a process. The number of individuals that are employed to do this will be affected too. So back to the question of whether the capacity is going to slow. Definitely it's not going to increase, but probably the price can come up, but what we used to produce is not going to be as it used to be.
Because the reason why I'm asking, or the reason why we're looking at this, is that the last time, especially with the revised budget, 2020 revised budget, even with what was done there, there's no much difference in the fact that
the figures.
Yes, in the figures, because it's just an adjustment from one sector to
one to another,
to the other. And so, is that realistic enough?
No, of course.
Would you say that's a revised thing?
No, it's not realistic. So far, so good. I've seen states revising their budget, and I think the only state that have done something very fine and somehow realistic, 70%, I think is Ekiti and Lagos. Others are just, it's not realistic. That's the fact. Even before COVID-19, Nigerian budget is not realistic. You just put up figures and say, we want to do this, we want to do that. At the end of the day, we are just 35% performance. So that's it.
All right, moving on quickly to the foreign scene. There is a story that says Trump is set to unveil proposals for police overhauls. And I'm looking at the story in the sense that there's been serious agitation for it's calling for universal awakening about the racial injustice that's been going on, not just in America, all over the world. And when we look at the fact that it is not only the police that needs a sort of restructuring, we look at immigrations too at the airport, the way they treat foreigners, especially black people. Do you think that this should just be in the US? I mean, this whole restructuring of police, don't you think it should cut across all the globe?
Of course. In restructuring, what they are trying to do in the US is racism. In Africa, in Nigeria, it is tribe. Because with what is happening over there, they call it racist, but here it's called it tribal war and whatever. But restructuring that has to do with human, to start from, I think it's even from the blacks, because within ourselves too, there are issues. So it is when we address ourselves, we can now say, okay, come. This Stockholm syndrome has to stop. We just have to look for a way so that we can live together. So the restructuring starts to start across the globe, not only the US alone.
That brought me, it brings to mind, as at yesterday or last week, we're talking about the role that the US is trying to play with some of the members that it has at the AFDB board. Okay. I'm talking about the African Development Board and all of that against our own additional here. Do you think that was a bit of, would you classify that as also racism? Because they say we found something against this man.
Yeah.
So is there a war against the black and, of course, not just the black now, but Africa as a whole?
I don't think it's a war. As an individual, I think there's more into that, because just last week the vice president resigned, and the committee that said that found him not guilty before now suddenly came up again and said there is something.
So it means that there's something there? Or
there's something there, but I can't 100% say, because you don't expect a black man to come and occupy the position. Sorry, a white man. So which implies that it is not just about racism. We should look more into that, not about racism alone.
But what does that tell us as blacks, as Africans?
It tells us that we are
in terms of leadership, really.
Yeah, it tells us that we just assume that we are not under colonialism again, but we are still somehow subjected to them, because I don't see why they will come up over there to come and dictate to us how we run our affairs. And not even because they dictate to us, we make it look as if we cannot do without them. Just this morning now, the Osun State governor said if there were no COVID-19, the deputy chief of staff who died would have been flown abroad. Look at that. So we make it look as if we can't even do without them. So it makes it look as if, so dominantly, if there are no COVID-19, half of these people will have, you know, we have refused to develop ourselves, and we run to them every now and then to ask for favor, call out only form of way they can get out of it.
Interesting. Okay, let's take a look at this final one. This one is from New York Post. Okay, and it says, the court's expansion of transgender rights on the court's recent restrictions imposed by the Trump administration. It's like a lot of, I mean, you know, a lot of things in the past, Trump has gotten away with it, but this certainly is not one of it, right?
Yeah, of course it is. You see, Donald Trump, the way he has been running the American system, or the democracy of American, it's making it look as if it's personal, or it used to be the Trump Towers. It makes it look like if I want to get this done, I will have it and nothing will happen. But now that this form of thing is coming up, it's make him sit tight. And don't forget that the election is coming by December. So just mention about how he wants to restructure the police. Ordinarily, if you were to be Trump of 2 years ago, we would have go back to the Twitter and tweeting. But now I think it seems he's getting to his senses, and you know that there's fire on the mountain.
But you know the white majority don't believe that.
Yeah,
they don't believe that he's just running the U.S. I mean, like his own Trump tour.
Of course, majority, they definitely, you say majority don't believe that because he won the election, and you know how he won the election is another story entirely. Right. But we cannot say 100% that they don't believe. This is a contested theory.
Yeah. Okay, I think we'll just have to leave it there. I'm going to ask you again, Adeola. I'm sure you have an interesting story, or your own favorite story of all some of the headlines that we've read out today. But for me, I think one interesting story, and I would like to follow in the next 1 week, is the fact that Arewa youth is giving federal government 14 days ultimatum to end insecurity in the Northwest. So this is the first time we're seeing the Northern youth coming up to speak, against the insecurity in the Northeast.
I share the same view with you, because I feel that if the elderly ones are standing up to injustice in the system, the younger generation that will soon take over the terrain of power should also clamor. In fact, they should be the one on the streets canvassing for a safer note than the elderly people who would soon leave the scene. So it should be their job, it should be their responsibility to ensure that everyone around them is safe.
And finally, Jimo, let's hear from you, your own, favorite story or headlines today, or the best story you think.
I think it's I'll go with her, the Arewa story that they are giving the federal government ultimatum to end killings. Though we know that it's not going to end in 14 days, but at least it's make them sit tight and look at how they can restructure and once and for all push out the insecurity in our land. Bayo
Jimo is a journalist. Thank you for coming on the press.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Okay. And that's how we wrap it up here. We'll be back tomorrow. I am Frank Omalape.
And I'm Adeola Olawi. Please stay safe.